Yes, I guess I should start this thing. Yeah, this is Evil Popcorn Conversations with Shogun, but we also have one more with us today. But yeah, I don't, as I said on the first one, I don't know what I'm going to do with these ones. If it's going to be like a little side channel or whatever, or part of the main channel, just as a little side project. They're just general conversations. And yeah, and we were going to go with something else, which we'll do in the future. We're going to do underrated actors, but life is hectic, and we haven't gotten around to putting that together yet. So we're just going with another list, and the list for Evil Popcorn Conversations number two is the 25 best horror movie remakes. Okay. Um, for those who are wondering, yes, this is a shed. I'm fine. I'm in the process of moving. I'm not squatting and recording from the streets. But I'm not alone. Yeah. You, for those who have watched my shit for a while, you know the man in my top left. Joel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Uh, this is South Jersey Shogun checking in one more time.
And we have
Uh,
from. Sorry, you good?
I nodded. Yeah, I'm good. I'm sorry.
All good. And we have a guest from those that are watching. You might have seen him on Parko's Power Hour. Um, yeah, if you could introduce yourself, our guest,
Yeah.
please.
This is Ronnie, the medical unprofessional, uh, ready to go live with you guys and see what happens.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. And I, of course, am the Colonel from Down Under, Mr. Popcorn. Let's get it popping. Right. All right. Okay. So, first of all, generally, horror and horror remakes. Joel, just general thoughts. What do you reckon about them?
I think I'm in the minority because, like, I'm not mad at a remake as long as it's a good remake. Like, I just want a good movie. I don't give a fuck if it's a remake.
Sure. Sure. I'm
Like, they,
pretty much at the same camp. Yeah.
like I had like a 6 month period where I was like a knee jerk no remake guy. But yeah, that's kind of pretentious, isn't it?
Sure. Well, that's we can talk about that. Ronnie, horror remakes.
I'm a big scaredy cat. um,
Okay.
I was in the army for a long time, and everybody makes fun of me because not that I'm afraid of horror movies. I don't know. But I can always appreciate a good movie. A good storyline, a good plot line. I'm not a big fan of super slashy movies, but like
Sure.
on this list that we have, I Am Legend's a pretty good has a pretty good storyline. We'll get into some of the other. They
Okay.
have decent storylines, so see how this goes.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see how this goes. Yes. Um, me, yeah, I'm pretty much in the same camp as Shogun. Um, definitely more of a fan than the medical unprofessional. When it comes to remakes, like I love horror movies, of course. But yeah, we'll just see what they've got. We'll see what they've got. Now, this is according to RottenTomatoes.com. They seem to be the big fucking overlords of what's good or not. Okay, so we'll start this off anyway. This is the top, according to RottenTomatoes.com, the 25 best horror movie remakes. Okay, number 25 is My Bloody Valentine. It got 61% on Rotten Tomatoes 2009. Have either of you seen it?
I
Yes,
have not.
I saw this one. I saw this in the theater. Actually, yeah, I saw. Yeah, I saw. Yeah, it was in 3D. This was pretty good. Like it was. It was right. It was like a polished up version of the original. Like it was a very similar storyline. They didn't take it
Okay,
off into the weeds or anything.
okay.
But
Had you
it's
had
been
you
it's
seen the
been a while, but
original?
I did enjoy it. Yeah, yeah, I
You've
had.
seen the original? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So we're just going to do this completely off the cuff, whether we've seen it or not. If you want to know what it is, do your own research, basically. This is not a research. This is just an easygoing number. Yes, just off the cuff. Evil number 24. What's have you got the list there, Joel? Ronnie?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry,
Evil Dead.
professional. Yeah. Okay. What's
Yeah.
next there? Ronnie?
It's a Evil Dead, starring Jane Levy and Shiloh Fernandez.
Yeah, this
I've
was
seen this.
like even just take it like if you were just to take away the Evil Dead name, this is just a damn good movie by itself.
Yeah,
But like
absolutely.
it
I
really
agree.
like it just it but then like when you add on like it definitely adds to the what's the word I'm looking for? Oeuvre maybe of the whole Evil Dead
Yeah.
franchise.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was a big fan of the game. Like
Okay.
it.
I have that and haven't played it. Is it good though?
Yes, I mean it's not like I want to ruin it, but yeah, I mean, which platform do you have it on?
PS4.
On Xbox. So I mean, the biggest thing, like, because it's a like first person / third person, like kind of horror game. Like I think you'll like.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin it, but yeah, the storyline's pretty good. There's a lot of jump scares in the game, so I'll say that.
Cool. Yeah, no, I've seen this. I love it. I think it's one of the better remakes. I think it should be higher in this list.
Yeah.
The original's
Unless they
classic,
got
of
some.
course. Yeah. The original's
And I was
classic,
just
of
agreeing
course.
with
But
you. Unless they. Oh, sorry.
okay,
I was
cool.
just saying
Sorry for the delay, people.
this should definitely be ranked higher unless they got some real heat further down this list.
They'd have to, because this is just a great standalone film. And I liked how they flipped it in terms of a remake. They stripped all the comedy out of it and just made it pure horror as well. Yeah, because as I've
Yes.
mentioned before, horror and comedy is problematic at the best of times. But Shogun, what do we have for number 23?
23 is 1982's Cat People. In this sensual and violent horror tale, Arena Gallier has a dark family secret that resurfaces, excuse me, dramatically. Hey, I've never seen this, or I didn't know it was a remake. Has Malcolm
Yeah, the
McDowell in it.
original's old. The original's old school. Directed by Paul Schrader. Um,
Why do I know that name?
I know what it is. Paul Schrader, he wrote Taxi Driver.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I may have seen it as a kid.
Yeah, I saw
And
it.
just to backtrack, sorry, after you, Ronnie.
I saw it as a kid. It came out obviously the year I was born, but I feel like the book is a little crazier than the actual movie. Obviously, in the 80s, they didn't have
Yeah.
the same like CGI and like effects that we have nowadays, but it was a decent, adaptation of a book. So
Is
Yeah,
the book
cool.
of the same name?
yes,
Okay.
And just backtracking a little bit, Evil Dead got 63% and Cat People got 64%. All right. So 22, we have Willard,
Ooh.
64%,
Ooh.
2003.
Oh yeah.
This is good.
This is a good. That was good. Yeah. Fucking
It's
skews me the
got
fuck out. Can't stand rodents.
me either.
Then if you don't like rodents, this is not a movie.
My wife's a big fan of rodents, but
okay.
Nah, I can't do it.
But
I can't ask me if we could get a ferret. I was like, no.
I'm a big Crispin Glover fan, though. He's and Arlie
he's
Ermey's
great.
in it, so I felt like that was a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
I saw that one.
Yeah, no, it is good. It is good. It's directed by Glenn Morgan. If you don't know, it's a guy who, yeah, has lots of rats. He communes with rats. One in particular. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It's a classic. I haven't seen the original. Has anyone seen the original?
Nah, that came out in like the I want to say 60s, didn't it? It's like an
Yeah,
older
even older,
movie.
even earlier, even earlier. But anyway, that was my one. Joel, what do we have at 21?
21. Ah, shit. Suspiria from 2018 at 65% from Rotten Tomatoes. Young American dancer Susie Banyan arrives in 1970s Berlin to audition for the world-renowned Helena Marcos dance company. Uh, Should have tried to bring up the rest of the synopsis. Sorry. Uh,
You got it?
oh, okay. When she vaults to the role of lead dancer, the woman she replaces breaks down and accuses the company's female directors of witchcraft. Yeah, this is another one I still have to sit down and watch. This and the
Ronnie,
original.
Ronnie, what's your history with Suspiria?
I mean, haven't seen this one. I read the book. I want to say 10 years ago. Hold on.
Okay. How's the book?
The book is crazy as hell. Is all I'm gonna say. Um, the three mothers are like wild in the book. Like it's I don't even know how to explain. Like I don't know how the movie adapted to it, but the book was definitely took me a couple days to read. Usually I'll read a book in a day, but just how graphic the book is, I had to kind of
Yeah. Okay.
set it down
I
for a
can
couple
imagine.
minutes.
Yeah. I would. I would. Um, uh, I've talked about Dario Argento on here before. I'm not a fan. He makes pretty pictures, but he can't put a movie together very well at all. That's in terms of this. The guy who did the original. This movie though, I really, really liked. Yeah, I thought it was cool. Um, like dance horror is hard to pull off, but this is legitimate dance horror. Um, and so, yeah, that's all I'll say without wanting to spoil any more. Early Mia Goth, us, and Tilda Swinton plays three different characters, three different roles. Yeah, but no, this movie's dope. I liked it. But medical unprofessional, what do we have at 20?
We have Night of the Living Dead from 1990, starring Tony Todd,
This is
Patricia
good.
Tillman,
Okay,
Tom Towles, directed by Tom Savini.
directed by Savini. Shogun, you sounds like you've seen this one, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. This one, like, all right. You remember in the original one how useless Barbara was?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, this one redeems the character. Yeah, Barbara really comes into her own in the remake.
Okay. Ronnie, you seen this?
I saw the original one from like the 60s, I think. Um, but this one was kind
Yeah.
of, yeah, I have not watched this one, but yeah, the one from the 60s was definitely, even at that time,
Mm,
like they
mm,
definitely used the lighting well
mm.
for the, that black
Yeah,
and white scenes and
absolutely.
stuff. But um,
Yeah.
yeah, if Barbara does better in this one, then I definitely probably have to see it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. The original's cool though. The
It's
original's cool.
yeah, it's worth the watch. Like if you're a fan of the franchise.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Okay, number 19, Red Dragon, 2002, 65%, sorry, 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, so this is, of course, part of the Hector Larry. What the hell was Hector Larry? Is Hannibal, Hannibal Lecter mythos. Ex FBI agent Will Graham, Edward Norton, is an expert investigator who quit the bureau after almost losing his life. Dot dot dot. In the process of capturing the elusive Dr. Lecter, played by Anthony Hopkins, after a series of particularly grisly murders, Graham soon realizes that the best way to catch this killer, known as the Tooth Fairy, is to find a way to get inside the killer's mind. For Graham, that means confronting the past and facing his former nemesis, the now incarcerated Lecter. Yeah, I've seen this. It's cool. I need to go back and watch the Anthony Hopkins play Lecter because the new Hannibal with Mads Mikkelsen kind of shines it. Yeah, I don't really think of anyone else when I think of Hannibal Lecter now. Yeah, so this movie was cool at the time. Joel, what do you?
Yeah, all right. Out of the three like Hannibal Lecter movies, like it's not even that Red Dragon sucks. It's just the worst. It's just the worst one out of the three, but it's still a damn good movie because Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal were fucking bangers. But yeah, this one was really good too. Your boy Ray Fiennes was a sick motherfucker in this.
Yeah. He was good. He was good. Yes, absolutely. Ronnie, you seen these?
Yes. Actually,
What's the history with Hannibal?
I remember when this movie came out. I was just joining the army. This movie was Harvey Keitel in this movie was. I mean, you have Edward Norton, you have Harvey Keitel, you got Anthony Hopkins. I feel like his Hannibal character in this one. I mean, I can tell obviously you can tell he's not like the superstar of this because he's trying to help them figure out what's going on with the Red Dragon and all that other stuff. I feel like it was. I don't really put this more in the horror category. I don't see why it's in the horror category. I feel like it's more of a suspense or like a thriller than anything else. But that's just my
Sure. The characters are pretty extreme, maybe is why they did it.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't really show that much. A lot of it's suggestion through the language of it. But there are a few moments. But yeah, I mean, it's worth checking out. It is definitely, if you're a fan of the franchise, of course. So who was that?
That was me. Number 19.
So Joel, what's at 18?
Number 18. 2007's I Am Legend coming in at 68%. And hang on, bringing up the synopsis. This is one I still have to see.
Oh, you haven't seen this? Okay. Yeah, you should see this. You'd like.
Robert Neville, a brilliant scientist, is a survivor of a man-made plague that transforms humans into bloodthirsty mutants. He wanders alone through New York City, calling out for other possible survivors, and works on finding a cure for the plague using his own immune blood. Neville knows he is badly outnumbered and the odds are against him, all the while that the infected wait for him to make a mistake that will deliver Neville into their hands.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, this is this is one I just never got around to see it. I've heard really good things though.
Ronnie, you've made noise about this movie before when you saw it on the list.
I like it. I felt like the alternate ending was a little bit better than the actual ending.
Okay.
I feel like it was a toned down 28 Days Later. Like.
Yeah, I get that. That's fair.
Yeah, it was like, more. It was more on like Will Smith's character and like his day-to-day life and like how he gets through everything and how he's like. It was okay, but I feel like I don't really put this in the horror category either. I feel like it's more of like a suspense movie also, or more like a sci-fi thriller than anything else.
Yeah,
because the main gory part's probably like the end of the movie, or like when some of those little mutants go out into the sun, but there really wasn't that much of a like horror aspect to the movie.
Yeah, no, I concur. Well put. I did like the movie though as well. There was a certain period where Will Smith wasn't being so much of a douche. Yeah. For me, he had his Prince of Bel-Air doucheness. Then he had this period, and there was Hancock was entertaining enough. The Price of Happiness. Okay, so you've got more of a range now going. There was this one period, and then the slap happened, of course, and now he's squarely back in doucheville. I did enjoy this movie for light entertainment. It's a popcorn movie, definitely a popcorn post-apocalyptic, movie. But what's number 17? Medical. What have you noticed?
The Town That Dreaded Sundown, starring Addison Timlin, Travis Tope, Spencer Clark, Veronica Cartwright, directed by Alfonso Gomez Rejon. Came out in 2014. A mass maniac terrorizes a small community while murder known as the Phantom Killer struck decades earlier.
Okay. I haven't seen it. If anyone's got anything, go for it.
No.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I see this. It wasn't too bad for what it was. I mean, again, it wasn't reinventing the wheel. But
Okay.
But yeah, it was alright. The original was kind of funny. I had one of the funnier kills I've ever seen. This motherfucker tied a knife to a trombone. It was like playing the trombone, stabbing these people.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, it was fun.
It was funny.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, cool. I might watch it just for that. Okay.
And I think,
15,
if memory serves, I think they may have redid that in the remake, but I guess that's what I remember from the original. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So, going back into it, 3, 2, 1. So number 15, we have The Crazies, which of course is a remake of George A. Romero's 1970s movie, which I've seen. I get its importance, but it's one of those 1970s movies where it's people standing in rooms shouting at each other. Yeah, that seemed to happen a bit in the 70s. That could just be me, but yeah, that's the original. They go outside.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the original Crazies. Like, I think like I don't maybe I don't want to be hacky and say it was ahead of its time, but people they weren't ready for what he was trying to do with that. That's why they ended up doing a remake, because like the story has great fucking bones.
Very true, absolutely, and could happen. Now, Ronnie, have you seen this?
I've seen the original. I think it's kind of more along the lines of like you gotta think like 28 Days Later kind of made this, Dawn of the Dead, I Am Legend. They all kind of took from this concept and adapted their own, Faze whatever storyline to like cash in on it. But I feel like the original in the 70s was very like ahead of its time. Like Joel said, like it's, that story, it's been adapted multiple times in the other projects.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Well put. So we'll keep going, keep popping. Number 14, I believe we're up to you, Shogun.
14, 2002. Yes. Was that 2002? The Ring? Damn.
Yeah, man.
I'm bringing up the synopsis. It sounds just like. Yeah. Sorry. It sounds just like another urban legend. A videotape filled with nightmarish images leads to a phone call foretelling the viewer's death in 7 days. Newspaper reporter Rachel Keller is skeptical of the story until 4 teenagers all die mysteriously exactly 1 week after watching just such a tape. allowing her investigative curiosity to get the better of her, she tracks down the video and watches. Now she has just 7 days to unravel the mystery. I'm curious. Like I haven't seen this in a long time. I'm curious to see how it holds up. I did like it when I saw it back in the day, though. I feel like it doesn't hold up so well.
Yeah, I remember seeing this movie when it came out. I was just getting into the Army, right out of basic training, and out of school. And I remember the first time I saw it, I fell asleep.
Okay.
But the second time I saw it, I feel like, there's a lot of movies also that kind of adapted off this, like Telephone and kind of like Smile and stuff like that, where you got to figure out this, because it was a horror movie too, but I feel like there was a lot of suspense factors in this movie that, that's probably why it's number 14 right on the list. It's not the best horror movie, but the adaptation, and I feel like the cinematography in this, because they have that grainy, those grainy scenes where you're looking at the VHS, and then you have those scenes where that everybody remembers that scene where the girl comes out of the TV, starts crawling across the floor and going after everybody. My wife was just telling me this movie freaked her out as a kid. Like it was, it did what it needed to do back in about 21 years ago. So yeah.
Absolutely. Like it's like Scream for mid-90s kids as well, just getting into horror. It's definitely one of those gateway films that people come across at that time, given your generation. Quick question before I rant. Have you two seen the original Japanese series of films at all?
So I
not
watched
a long time, but yes.
The original's a lot gorier than than this one. I feel like the Japanese version was, because we watched it when we were in Iraq, and the Japanese version is definitely a lot different than the American adaptation.
Yes,
yeah, they definitely had to dummy it down for the American audience.
Yes, that's what I found a little bit annoying with this, because I was a fan of the original Japanese ones well before the remakes came out in America. The originals, there is more gore in it, but they're not explicitly gory. They're very dirty. They're very grimy. Yeah. And the American one, of course, is cleaner. It's just it's just their habit.
Yeah.
It's just how you guys make things. Yeah. What annoyed me though, and this is more a Hollywood thing. It's not an American thing per se. It's a Hollywood thing. That there was too many reminders. There was too many flashbacks to what had happened previously. Big arrows. Hey, remember this? This links to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was too many visual. Hey, dummy. Remember that? Yeah. Which is the one thing that annoyed me, because the Japanese had ambiguity. You know what I mean? They had this slow creeping, unraveling. You know what I mean? Which the Hollywood doesn't get.
So
they can't be subtle in that way. Ronnie,
I feel like too, Gene, like in this movie, you're expecting more jump scares. Like you're like, okay, you're building up. You have that music, that cinematic, that eerie music playing, and then scene cuts and moves on. Like it, I feel like there was a lot of doors that were left open in the movie that could have been utilized with other, like maybe not a jump scare, but maybe something something that like kind of paid homage to the original movie a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a less is more. The original shows why less is more. Not that this is an intrinsically bad film. This isn't a bad film. It was just Number 2 is all right as well. I don't know if it's going to come up, but The Ring, the sequel to this remake, is worth watching as well. If you like, this type of film around this time when it came out, which was very suspense based in the 2000s. Ronnie, you are right.
Yeah.
A
lot of PG-13 to M horror was very suspense based. Who read out that one? I lost track.
Got, number 13, Bram Stoker's Dracula from 1992. Overblown is the best sense of the word. Francis Ford Cappola's version of Bram Stoker's Dracula, rescues the characters from decades of campy interpretations and features some terrific performances to boot, starring Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Anthony Hopkins, Keanu Reeves, and directed by Francis Coppola. I remember watching this as a kid in the 90s. I was like 10, 11 years old. My parents didn't want me watching it because there was a lot of explicit scenes in there. Yeah.
Titties. Lucy was great. Definitely, had a thing for Lucy.
Now, you know what my favorite part of this movie is? And it's such a little thing, and I swear they pulled a prank on Anthony Hopkins. If you remember where he's going to stake Lucy and she spits all that blood in his face.
Yeah.
Now I have nothing to base this off of except a gut feeling, but I really feel that was supposed to happen at a different part in that scene, and Coppola was like, "I'm gonna pull an audible," because just like the way, like the look on Anthony Hopkins' face and his body language as he's sitting there taking it, like that, he was like, "That's not supposed to happen now." But it looked so good on camera, though.
That's cool. Nice.
I think what this movie did, though, was it made a lot of kids at that time, teenagers, want to read Dracula. Because you're like, oh, man, this is crazy. Like,
sure.
And Bram Stoker's Dracula is like a classic, but it doesn't, like, the movie is a very it's a very loose interpretation of the actual book. And I mean, when I lived in Europe, when I lived in Germany, we actually went to Dracula's castle. And, you hear about like all this, the stories of that, like what they, think of over there, in Romania. And like the interpretation of this movie is very, very loosely based on like lore and like the movie. But they just put that Bram Stoker's like tag on it to hopefully, bring in some other people besides like just the horror buffs.
Give it some legitimacy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well put. I don't have really anything to add. Everyone's seen this film. It's not as impactful as it was when it came out during the 90s. But you can still, like Natural Born Killers, go back and go, okay. You can see why there was such a big splash when you watch it now. I think it's me.
Yeah, I think so.
Just do that. Yeah. Fright Night 2011, coming in at 72%. This stars Anton Yelchin, Colin Farrell. Okay, it's this one. David Tennant and Christopher Mintz-Plasse, directed by Craig Gillespie. It's an old school vampire movie from the 80s. It's pretty comedy horror. Joel, you describe this as?
I've never seen Fright Night.
Never seen a Fright Night.
Like I haven't seen the remake or the original. Like I always got this confused with Nightbreed. That's why I was like, huh? Vampire, but okay, but now I was thinking Nightbreed.
No, it's not. Ronnie, you seen this film?
Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, it's good. I'm not a big Colin Farrell fan, so like, but it was I prefer the 80s version. I think it was like 85 or 86 is when the original came out, but I prefer the 80s version. I feel like it was a little more,
funny.
Yeah, more fantasy based. I feel like this one. I mean, it was a good, a good remake, a decent remake, I should say. Not good, but I'm not a big Colin Farrell fan, so yeah.
Sounds like it's too high on this list.
I feel like this and I feel like this and like either Willard or Evil Dead should like switch places.
Be in this spot.
Yeah.
I'd give this to Willard. Evil Dead I'd push higher. But speaking of higher, what's number 11, Joel? Just go around.
Number 11 is 2010's Piranha. Love this movie. Spring Break turns gory when an underground tremor. Shit. Hold on one second. Oh, sorry. Yep. Spring Break turns gory when an underground tremor releases hundreds of prehistoric carnivorous fish into Lake Victoria, a popular waterside resort. Local cop Julie Forrester must join forces with a band of unlikely strangers, though they are badly outnumbered, to destroy the ravenous creatures before everyone becomes fish food. Yeah, this is a fun fucking movie.
To me, it was like a
It was
knockoff, like Jaws / I don't know. Like, I think this is what, like, right before what Sharknado came out and all that other. Like, it's along the, I don't know. Like, I feel like it was kind of hokey, but it did.
Sharknado is sillier than this.
Okay, I'm back. I hate to get you baked. I've never seen any of these movies. No piranhas or flying tomatoes or sharks with octopus tentacles. Yeah,
the fish are very super CGI. Like if you watch it, Gene, like it looks like CGI from like the 90s. It's super cheesy. The effects are. I mean, I don't know why it's so high on the list, but yeah.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so Ronnie, Unprofessional.
Yeah,
what do we have at number 10?
Our next,
top 10.
Number 10, Cape Fear.
Oh.
Starring.
We were just talking about this the other day, Jay.
Nick Nolte.
That is true.
Directed by Scorsese.
That's right, does it?
Yeah.
I loved this film when it was out. Soon after it came out, I definitely went through a period of watching this quite a few times. I was still heavily into Robert De Niro back then. I think he's great in this. Yeah. And Juliette Lewis, I was a Juliette Lewis fan as well. This is when she had a really good run of movies. That is Juliette Lewis, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Remake. I've never seen the original though, because it's very, very old. Not that that's an excuse, but that's the truth. Yeah. Joel, what do you reckon?
Oh yeah, this is great. Although, all right, this is what kind of a fucking nerd I am. I didn't I see this. I didn't see this until I had seen the Simpsons episode, where Sideshow Bob was trying to kill Bart, and then it's just his fate would have it. A couple of months later, I saw this. I was like, oh, it's the Simpsons episode. Sideshow Bob didn't do that.
You're a product of your generation. I'm sure other people did that as well. Ronnie, you've seen this?
Yes, I'm a big Scorsese fan. I feel like his adaptation was really, it was really good. I'm a big De Niro fan. I feel like De Niro, Scorsese, can't beat that combination between actor and director. But I don't see how it's a
horror movie. All-around good cast.
Yeah. I feel like it's just like some of the other ones, like I Am Legend, and so I think it's more of a thriller or suspense. I don't see how this is a horror movie, but it's almost
it's like skating the edges of horror. It's it's right on the line.
It's like implied almost just because of the post jail scenes where he's trying to kill him and stuff like that. But I feel like it's more of a thriller, suspense, even just like a drama than anything else. But yeah,
fair. But great film.
Yes, very, very good.
I'm happy with its placement. Number 9. Okay. This is Zack Snyder's, isn't it? Yeah. Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, 2004, coming in at 76%. Yeah, and it's a remake of the Dawn of the Dead film. It was good when it came out. The start of it's very effective. And it's not the worst. I see why it's on the list or why it's high up, but this was very popular with people. I think it's a good one-off watch. I wouldn't watch it again, but that's just me. What do you guys reckon? Who's seen it?
Yeah,
I think it's pretty rewatchable. Like this is one like I'm not mad at it anytime I see it. Like but like it's not one it's one I will rewatch, but it's not something I have in heavy rotation. Like that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah,
Unprofessional.
yeah. I mean, the cast is really good. I got Bing Rain, Mackay Pfeiffer. Like you have Ty Burrell. Some of them are more like a lot of them are more for either more serious or comedic roles. But I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the movie. I feel like I don't feel like it needed to be remade. The original one. What was it? The 60s, 50s?
Dawn.
Yeah,
Late 70s.
yeah.
The Dawn of the Dead. Yeah.
They I feel like it did its piece. I don't really feel like this one did those movies justice. I feel like it's more of a standalone on its own. Maybe it could have been named something different, but that's just my
Sure.
opinion.
Sure. Yeah, no, sure. I'm not going to argue with that at all. I'm not going to argue with that at all. I hold no great emotion towards this film. Who read that out?
All right, you got The Thing next from 1982. Grimer and more terrifying the 1950s. John Carpenter's The Thing is a tense sci-fi thriller with compelling tension and some remarkable makeup effects. A group of American researchers are disturbed at a base camp in Antarctica by a helicopter shooting. When they take in the dog, it brutally attacks both human beings and canines in the camp, and discovered that the beast can assure the shape of its victims. Directed by John Carpenter, starring Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley. It's all right, it's okay. Saw it when I was little.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it should be number one. That's all I'm going to say. I think this should be
I was
number one.
about,
I
I was
love
about to
this
say
film.
I'm sure like this is definitely like especially target remakes. It should be like top 5.
Yes, if not top three. But that's just me. That's just me. I thought this was really well done. I thought the
Yeah,
cinematography was great. Cinematography was great.
As a kid,
But again, Ronnie, to your point, it's mostly suspense.
yeah, I remember this movie still freaked me out as a kid. There's another movie on this list that we'll talk about actually the next movie, but
Okay.
I was
Okay.
like to me there's some visually like disturbing things that this came out when I was the year I was born in 82. So like I think I saw when I was like 5 or 6. My aunt would love to watch like horror movies and thriller movies, and
Okay.
just like the shape shifting was the one thing that like freaked me out as a kid. I think it did its job
Okay.
for sure.
Okay. Shape
Slept with the lights
Okay.
on for
Cool.
a couple weeks after that.
Okay. Nice. 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 I like that. I like that. But speaking of the next movie, okay, sure, sure. It's it. We remember it. Wasn't that long ago? 2017. 86%. Remake of the 80s Stephen King miniseries about Pennywise the clown that comes to the town of Derry every 27 years, manifesting fear, basically, mostly in the form of Pennywise the clown, who basically is, if you imagine, a really nimble, ultimately frightening John Wayne Gacy clown. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I enjoyed these.
I despised the second one. I thought the second one was terrible, but I thought the first one was a lot of fun, especially in the cinema. Ronnie, did you check these out?
So as a kid, the first one, like the miniseries of It, terrified me as a
Yeah,
kid.
Yes, same.
So I could not bring myself
Tim
to
Curry.
watch this
Tim
one,
Curry.
even as an adult in the theaters. But I think the biggest part on the original one was when the clown opened his mouth and you just saw inside of his mouth in the original one. Oh, I was like, if it gets that bad, I'm not gonna. So that's why I didn't head out to go see this one. I'm a big wimp when it comes to things like that. So yeah, the
oh,
original one terrified me as a child.
Oh yeah, like in which Skarsgård? Yeah, that's Billy Skarsgård again, isn't it?
It
That
is
played
Billy.
Pennywise.
Yes.
Yeah, he did his thing.
Yeah, he was good. He was good for Tim Curry. A lot of it was words and dialogue that brought across his fear. Like he didn't need to say much. He just worked with the visuals a lot. This guy,
Yeah,
Skarsgård, which was the right choice. Was the right
yeah,
choice because it was very much like watching. It reminded me of watching Nightmare on Elm Street as a kid, watching this in the cinema because it was very much a roller coaster jump scare ride of a movie that doesn't let up. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Second one though, the second one. I don't know. Did you like the second one, Joel?
I'm actually due for a rewatch. I only saw it the one time, so
Okay, let me
but
know. Let me
like,
know what you think.
but uh, but yeah, I would take it. You really weren't feeling it.
Yeah, I didn't like the adults. The adults didn't pull it off for me. The kids did. But anyway, enough of it. Who do we have next, Joel?
Hold on. Number six. 2013's "We Are What We Are." Did I see this? Sounds familiar. Hang on one second.
Is this a remake of Two Sisters, the Korean horror
I
film? I
think
think it's called
I
Two.
think so.
Yeah,
The
yeah, it
Parkers,
looks like
reclusive
it.
people who cling to ancient customs, find their secret lives threatened when a torrential downpour and the death of the family matriarch forces daughters Iris and Rose to assume special responsibilities.
Ugh, well, that
Oh no,
sounds
I
creepy.
haven't seen this. Yeah.
Have you seen this,
I
Ronnie?
saw the Korean version when I was in Korea. The
Yeah,
Korean
yeah,
version was
yeah.
I
It's
don't
a
even
mind fuck,
I don't
isn't it?
even speak Korean, and it was definitely like those
Yeah,
Asian horror movies back in the 80s, 90s,
yeah,
70s were
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. If it is, yeah, if it is the remake, I'm curious. I'm curious. It'd probably be bad though. Okay. That was Joel. So it's you, Ronnie.
all
Number
right.
five.
Let Me In 2010, starring Cody Smith McPhee, Chloe Grace Mortez, Richard Jenkins, and Cara Bono. Bullied at school, neglected at home, incredibly lonely. A 12-year-old spends his day plotting revenge.
Yes.
Um, did not have not seen this movie, but just looking at the screenshots, definitely movies, horror suspense movies with kids always freak me out. So yeah, ever since Amityville, like
I
Yeah.
I haven't seen this one.
Have you seen this one?
Nah.
I haven't seen this one, but I've seen the original, and the original is really, really good. I think I might have seen this one. I'm not sure, but this is meant to be good. This is meant to be good, and the original's great. Swedish
What?
film. Trying to remember its name.
Okay, you just answered my question. I was about to say, where is it from? But you said Swedish.
Yeah, it's Swedish. Yeah.
Burgy bird.
All right, Joe. Who do we have next?
Oh, number four. Again, 1986 is The Fly, 93%. Okay, I actually agree with Rotten Tomatoes for once. Uh, with scientist Seth Brundle, excuse me, uh, completes his
Right.
teleportation device, he decides to test its abilities on himself. Unbeknownst to him, a housefly slips in during the process, leading to a merger of man and insect. Initially, Brundle appears to have undergone a successful teleportation, but the fly cells begin to take over his body. As he becomes increasingly fly-like, Brundle's girlfriend is horrified as the person she once loved deteriorated into a monster. Yeah, this is a good fucking. This is another one I'm due for a rewatch now that I think about it.
Yeah, I need to rewatch this one. I loved this as a kid. Yeah, it's
this
just
is
great
like
body
classic
horror.
Cronenberg right here.
Yeah, absolutely. You managed to do it for the mainstream with
Yep.
this as well. Yeah, so well done. Yes, this is a correct placement for this. You've seen this, I assume, Ronnie?
Yes. To me, it always, like, even the original always made me think of Baxter Stockman from Teenage
Yes.
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
You know, I can see where they got Baxter from in the Ninja Turtles. You know, he's the scientist that turns into a fly. You know, I was like, okay.
Yeah, because he was working on a teleportation device too, wasn't he? If memory serves.
I was like, complete ripoff. But yeah, you know, at least they're paying homage to the movie. So
Yeah. This is definitely fucking top 5 gross out movies.
yes, and I'm a big Jeff Goldblum fan, so yeah, definite.
Okay. Okay, so that was Joel. So now it's you, Ronnie.
Yes, the Nosferatu.
Okay. Nosferatu.
Yes, from 1979, starring Klaus Kinski, Bruno Ganz, and directed by Werner Herzog. I lived in Germany, so I tried to
That was
play
good.
it
Yeah, no, that was good.
in
That was good.
Ein Deutsch.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's another one of those Dracula vampire movies. Very Euro based.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's essentially like Dracula, but I forget what happened. But they had to change. They changed the name to Nosferatu for some reason.
Yeah, it's very Euro based.
Yeah. I've seen this one, and I've seen the original. Yeah, Herzog, Kinski, Klaus. Yeah, he was a strange motherfucker to start as well. Throw Herzog on top of that, you know, strange coupling, weird things going to happen. Yeah, it's an alright film. I prefer the original. The original's more atmospheric. This one's funny though. This one is funny. Dracula and Renfield have a funny relationship. If you like Herzog, check it out. I see why it's number 3 because Herzog's a big deal. Yeah,
I like how they, if you look at the vampire in this movie, they pay homage to the original. Like, you know, the Dracula in the 50s, he had the 2 big front tooth fangs. You know, it's the same kind of makeup and, you know, effects that they had to kind of, it feels like, to pay homage to the original Dracula movie.
Absolutely. And if you like the original Nosferatu film, check out Shadow of a Vampire with Willem Dafoe as well, because that's a good spin-off kind of little look at what happened there with the original Nosferatu guy who disappeared after that movie. Yes, and who was seen to basically, and they thought he was floating, levitating. Yeah. When he comes out of his coffin, that one shot where he's standing upright. If you the original at all. Yeah. So it's all very interesting, and but yeah, if you're a fan of Herzog, check it out. Joe, no, it's me. Okay, Joe, you've got number 1. Don't look at it.
All right.
Okay. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978. This is the one with Donald Sutherland. Yeah, directed by Philip Kaufman. The remake of the classic horror film set in San Francisco. You know what it is? Aliens that, you know, steal humans' bodies and essentially their souls. I haven't seen it. You guys seen it?
I have.
It's been a while, but I've seen. Yeah, I remember enjoying it.
I remember I think I was like 7 or 8, and I saw Leonard Nimoy. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Spock. But yeah, I mean, it was okay. I don't see why it's number 2 on the list. I mean, you got Body Snatchers, the original one, or the first one up. What number is that on here? No, you know, 16, and you go down to number 2.
Now that one earlier came out in the 80s. The original is from like the 40s, 50s, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the
a decent movie,
old.
but I don't see it. I mean, in my mind, I don't see it as a horror. I mean, more of a sci-fi thriller, also. But
yeah, sure. Right again.
Yeah.
But yeah. So according to RottenTomatoes.com, Shogun, what is their number 1 numero uno best horror remake?
Oh, okay. All right, I got issues here. Evil Dead 2.
What? What?
Yeah, yeah,
I
this
feel like
list is bullshit.
the
No.
scariest part of this movie is the cover. I remember walking into the video store as a kid, seeing that big skull on that VHS tape, and walking right by it. Feel like that was the scariest part of the movie was that cover.
Yeah, yeah. And it has to be said, technically, it's not a remake.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's a redo, if you will.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's
It's
like
not
the
a
exact same movie
real
with a bigger
different.
budget. Like, like
Yeah,
I mean, you do what you got to do. It's like, yeah, it's like, I guess, yeah, this isn't even a remake. This is like a reshoot, I guess.
reshoot. Perfect word for it, reshoot.
Yeah.
And
But
Ash was just more
yeah,
comfortable
this,
with his, the comedic self,
but
and he
yeah,
just brought more
yeah,
horror
this
to it.
list is missing two of the best fucking remakes.
I feel like this and Killer
Yeah,
Clowns from
yeah,
Outer
yeah. Oh
Space
man, yeah,
are
go
like
ahead.
along the same lines. Might as well, or like Little Monsters. Those three were
Yeah,
like in the same.
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I disagree with that. I mean, great film.
Yeah,
We all know this, but for fuck's sake, really? Tomatoes.com. We should stop listening to you, basically. The list was okay overall. Are
yeah,
there any?
but
Are there, are there
it
any
didn't have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Hills Have Eyes. The list is fucking flawed.
yes,
Like
yes.
I'm
I
really
agree with both
surprised.
of those.
I'm really
Joel,
surprised Hills Have Eyes wasn't on there. Cause
you're from Texas,
say
so
again,
did you? And I know where you're
yes.
from originally in Texas. Did you ever go to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house where it was based out of?
Oh, really?
It was
Nah, I never got a chance to do that. I'd like to. Oh,
it's probably about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours from where you're from. Because we went out there when I was stationed
oh no
out
shit.
in Central Texas. It was probably about an hour and a half drive. It's definitely like where they filmed the original one, and it's definitely like an eerie feeling, you know,
Yeah,
um,
I can imagine.
area. One of my best friends I was in the military with, he was a big ghost hunter, so he'd always try to take
Okay,
me out to,
okay.
and I'd be like, bro, I'm gonna sit in the car. You go ahead and go check out where you're gonna go check. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So basically, where we got up to is the medical unprofessional. You had some issues, spots of contention. There's
Yeah. I
a lot of
mean,
suspense, not horror, in this list.
I'm not a big Stone Joel. I'm not a big like horror movie person. I'm not a big horror movie buff,
Sure.
but most of these movies I've seen because most of them are more I feel like suspense thriller, sci-fi, you
Mhm.
know, movies, but in I don't know. When I picture horror movies, I picture more like Nightmare on Elm Street, you know,
Yeah, slasher,
yeah.
Halloween.
people
Uh,
dying, people getting killed.
I know there's that new movie I've been seeing advertised a lot, even on Peacock. I've been watching Peacock.
Okay.
Sinister, I think it is Sinister 2, or what
The,
is it
mi-
with the clown?
Ah, those are good.
those are good. The sinister movies, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good.
Real
Those are worth the
creepy.
watch.
Yes. They're very dark, very dark. The Boogeyman, I think it was,
Badass
came out.
kids, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you said like in creepy kids freak you out. Yeah, this one has some really really bad
Yes.
children.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But yeah, no, I agree with that. Certainly, how it came to the end. Yeah. Uh, yeah, not the best understanding of what constitutes a remake. So, what do we think constitutes a good remake, people? Be it
Um,
horror or otherwise.
I mean, I feel like
you guys.
it has to be along the lines of the first movie or the book. Try to bring as many aspects of those into the movie without writing your own script, without redoing everything, like rewriting everything. Obviously, there's going to be, like in the case of it, there's better CGI, better graphics now. They're a little more strict on some of the images you can portray on movies now and stuff like that. So
Sure.
I just feel like as long as you're bringing in the bigger key components, like in some of the movies, like if you were to remake, like my favorite movie, Back to the Future, if you were to remake that movie, obviously, like you would need to make sure you like. I wouldn't want them to remake it with a new car or, you know, obviously the year is going to change because it's not 1982 anymore. But you got to kind of adapt with the times. But I feel like as long as you bring in those key aspects of the original,
Hmm.
and pay homage to that movie, I feel like that's a good remake.
Hmm. Joel?
He said basically what I was gonna say. It's like, well, all right, I'll speak strictly from just like remaking movies. Like you want to stick to the sort, like stick to. You don't want to stick. You want to stick to the source material, but but not copy it completely. But at the same time, give it your own spin.
Yes. Yes.
Like I said, best example of a movie and a remake and a really good remake, as I say it all the time, is The Hills Have Eyes. The Hills Have Eyes remake is like damn near a shot for shot fucking remake of the original, but it's Alejandro Aja did it so much better. And that's what makes it such a good movie. It makes it such a good movie,
Mhm.
let alone such a good remake.
Well, he
Which
put
is
it
why
darker.
huh. Yeah, but the original is pretty goddamn dark. They roasted a
Okay.
baby in the original.
I haven't seen the
You know
original.
what I
That
mean?
is dark. That is dark. That is dark. Yes. I haven't seen the original of Hills Have Eyes. The remake was fantastic, though. And because they did put their own spin on it as well, they took the template, like the Evil Dead remake, yes, which I believe is the same director. I'm not sure.
What do you
Uh,
feel, Gene? What do you feel like on this new? Because I heard they're supposed to be making a new Nightmare on Elm Street kind of series, but
Are they?
yeah, but what's Robert Englund's not going to be playing Freddy. It's supposed to be a new.
Oh, yeah, that's the big one. That's out of all of them, because
Yeah,
Michael and Jason can be whoever the fuck.
yeah. Wait,
That's the big
isn't
one.
Robert
Yeah,
Englund like 90 years old too, though?
yeah. He said his
yep,
body just can't handle it anymore. But it's
yeah.
supposed to be
Yeah.
like an early adaptation. I don't know if they're just trying to reboot the whole series, but
Okay,
hold on, let me pull it
okay,
up real quick.
okay. Yeah, I mean, like it's a
Like
tough
if
one.
they
It's
were
Michael.
smart, they would just.
Mm,
I was
after
gonna
you.
say if they were smart, they would just do like a Springfield slasher thing. Like if it's supposed to be a show, you said, the season finale can be like it where they the parents burn this guy up and create and burn up Freddy Krueger and make Freddy, and then they can go into the second season. But yeah, if they want to do like a whole season of where like it's just Fred Krueger like killing these kids, that could be pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
it's a remake of A New Nightmare. They're still in the process of like redoing it, but
A remake of New Nightmare, so it's a movie. A
yeah, I don't
remake.
know if it's a yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a movie. Um,
Okay.
Okay. Of numbers
but I
of
don't
the
know
new
who's gonna be
night.
playing I don't know who's gonna be playing
That doesn't
Freddy
sound good.
because I know Robert England is not gonna be
England.
playing.
Yeah.
He's too old
Yeah.
to
Yeah. He
he
is.
even said himself his back can't handle it. His body just
Well, no, that's wise. That's fair. That's fair. I'd rather that than
Yeah,
see him.
yeah, I'm not
yeah.
mad at him.
Yeah. No, he's done his bit. That's a weird choice. Yeah, A New Nightmare. It was cool at the time because it's the prototype to Scream in terms of meta horror, self-referential shit. Doing it now, I mean, Scream is not really working now. We're trying to reboot that. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, but Scream ain't fucking Nightmare on Elm Street though.
that is true. I mean, people will watch
Well,
it.
what do you feel like about the new Chucky TV show or the Child's Play TV show.
Fantastic. It's fantastic. Yes, and they brought back Brad
I
Dourif.
still have to sit down. I still have to sit down and watch that.
They brought back the remake's fine. The remake's fine with Luke Hamill. You know, he knows what he's doing in terms of voices. He's arguably the best Joker out there that's ever been in terms of his voice work. But they brought back Brad Dourif, the original Chuck, for this, and it worked way better. And I think it's fantastic. I think it's really good. They balanced the line between, you know, woke culture, if you will, but with what horror fans still want to see in a horror. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's great. Have you seen it?
I've seen a couple episodes. I know the graphics and, you know, but you could still, like, they haven't gotten over the top. Like with a lot of these remakes, they go over the top. They try to change the look of, you know, like with this one, like with Chucky, they haven't changed his look. He has the same, you can tell it's him. You know, like when they're remaking some of these other movies, like they changed the whole main character's look or they adapt it to what the director feels like. I feel like they kept everything kind of to the original, you know.
Absolutely. And they brought back a lot of the old people, a lot of the old actors as well, people who were originally involved. The kid from the original Child's Play in the 80s, he's back and he has a prominent role. Which is what Cobra Kai did and why Cobra Kai was so successful. Yeah, because I've been watching that shit, and that shit's it's better than it should be, which is kind of what they're doing with remakes now, with the remake format. Yeah, is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, because
I know how bougie you can get, Gene. So if you say it's better than it should be, I might have to watch it.
Yeah, it really is. It's bingeable as fuck. Johnny's hilarious. Johnny is hilarious.
Yeah, I got into it. I was a big Karate Kid fan as a kid. I think all of us that grew up in the 80s were big fans of like Karate Kid.
To whatever extent. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like when they remade the A-Team or they made the A-Team movie here in the, was it like 10 or 15 years ago? Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible remake. I never bothered. Yeah. Like the Miami Vice remake.
Yeah. You know, the G.I. Joe movies they made, horrible.
Yes. Yes. The Mortal Kombat movie, the most recent one, horrible but watchable.
That was all right.
Horrible but watchable.
I thought.
Yeah.
So, okay, you know the first Mortal Kombat movie they made.
I'm familiar with it. Yeah,
in the 90s.
Hold
on, what was his name now? Hold on.
Yeah, you're right. We're looking shit up.
From 95, it was. Hold on.
The Tekken movies were bad. Being a Tekken fan and Tekken player from back then, though, I didn't like them.
Yeah, they did. Because that could have been fucking really good if they'd have took their time and did it right.
Yeah, absolutely. Heaps of cool characters.
I mean, I was a big fan of like I think in the 90s though they remade. You know, they had that Street Fighter movie too.
Bad.
You know the only reason I like the Street Fighter movie from the 90s is because what was his name? Raul Julia, the guy that played Bison. He shot the whole movie while going through chemo for stomach cancer.
Yeah, I was about to say he was dying. Yeah. That was Raul Julia's last movie. I always said that was fucked up because Raul Julia rocks.
Yeah, he was going through. You know, he was like already stage 3 or stage 4 stomach cancer, and he was fighting it while he was, you know, filming the movie. So you know, I like that's the only reason I even like that movie is because after finding that, but I found that out way after the fact of watching it. But
wow, didn't know. That's awesome. Thank you. That's good knowledge. Yeah. Okay. Rest in peace, Raul Julia. Yeah. Remakes. And they're fine. People just generally need to relax about remakes. You know what I mean? We've been doing remakes from the get. You know, the thing's hella old. The fly's hella old. You know, when someone puts on a Shakespeare play, you don't all lose your minds. You know, it's just a story.
Yeah.
It's to start with. It's just words on a script.
You got to think though, like everything, like even now we were talking about wrestling before we came on the show, and even a lot of today's wrestling gimmicks have kind of recycled.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah. I mean, this is still carny shit. It's still movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not to be taken that seriously because people get very upset, like seriously upset when people remake shit.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think like because of the nostalgia. Like me, say okay, I don't know what your favorite movie is, but mine, has always been since I was, 5 or 6 years old. Back to the Future, the first one's always been my favorite movie. And if they remade it, I'd probably critique it worse than I've critiqued anything else in my life. And it probably, if they made it as a good movie, I'd still probably dislike it just because I don't think anything can replace that. Nostalgia. You remember going to the theater, getting some popcorn. Maybe I remember sitting with my cousins, in the movie theater watching that movie, and I probably watched Back to the Future 80 to 100 times. Like, but if they remade it, obviously people nowadays, because of nostalgia, go out and see it. Maybe a good remake, but I would probably pick it apart and not like it. And I feel like that's what happens a lot of times now is these producers or these directors had this movie when they were a kid and they loved it. And they're like, oh, I'm going to put my own spin on it. I'm going to remake it thinking they're going to make their own creative difference in the world. And everybody just wants that original. Just refilm the original.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much it. Movies, they're a huge pop culture. Part of our lives, like woven into the fabric of our reality. Certainly, on an influential level. And when you're a kid, you hold on to these things as well. And they've just got to keep it. You just keep it balanced. Just don't overdo things. Of course, humans overdo things. They remake things. A remake of something they already remade 2 years later. That happens a lot. Yeah, but that's Hollywood more than anything. But overall, I disagree with the list. Certainly number one. That was silly. But anything else, gentlemen, on remakes? We've done well for time.
No. Use the original script. That's what I say. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. And don't remake anything that's already been remade twice. Again, go digging in the crates a little bit. There's plenty of old shit that needs to, like I said before, plenty of old movies with good bones that'll benefit from the technology and movie making that we have now.
Absolutely. And if you want franchises, there's plenty of franchises out there. There's like mythologies of cultures. Greek, for example, hasn't even been done properly. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think you're doing with Marvel anyway? And that said, so this has been, evil. So let me do that again. This has been an evil popcorn conversation on remakes in general. Thank you very much for joining me, Shogun, the medical unprofessional. Any last words to sign off? I don't have a proper catchphrase yet.
Me either. I'm still working on it.
Stay safe. Don't burn your popcorn.
Don't burn your popcorn. Like it. It's going into the. It's going on.
Oh, that's horrible.
The suggestions. That's the worst thing. And another one is flop corn. That's the corn that doesn't pop. Yeah. Right at the bottom, that shit. That's flop corn. Yeah. This list was one of those microwave bags where it hasn't fully inflated yet. It's kind of half inflated. Yeah, that's what I'm going to give it. Thank you there, Ronnie. Yeah, I'm going to use that. I'm going to run off that riff. Yeah.
Don't burn your popcorn, everyone.
Don't burn your popcorn. All right, bye. Peace.